Hello, hello. Welcome to my aunt's attic. I went brain dead there for a second again. That was a good start. How you doing?
Welcome back.
How you doing, Mary Grace?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh
boy, here we go.
Okay.
Let's get right into it.
I'm so tired. We're just gonna hop right into it because I'm not okay.
Okay.
So, not last night, but the night before. So it was Tuesday, and I was at work. Kendra texted me after we had left Barnes & Noble. I went back to work. Kendra texted me later, and she asked if I wanted to go on a road trip. A spontaneous little road trip with her to check out the school she's going to be going to. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I don't get done with work till 5, though. It's going to be kind of late. She's like, it's fine. It's just going to be a couple hours. Like, I'll get you back before, 10:30. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I go with her, and we're driving down the road. We're about halfway there when my sugar drops. And I mean, it tanks. And that's the thing. I'm fine. Not fine. And when that happens, I'm kind of kaput for the rest of the day. Just, muscles just kind of give out on me, and I'm just tired. I need to go to bed. But we were only halfway there, so I was like, buck up, you're fine. It happens. Whatever. We stopped at a gas station, grabbed some food. I was fine. So we go on the road trip, whatever. We get there, still try not to throw up, all that good stuff. We head back, and not doing great. So I immediately go back to bed. And I went to bed at 10:30 or something. Around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, I was dying. And I don't know if it was because my sugar dropped or if it was a separate thing. I'm pretty sure I got kind of food poisoning or something, and it hit me around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning because the pain just lit up. I was like, oh, no. Am I having a heart attack? I thought I was having a heart attack. Honest to God, because I already have a little skippity bop thing going on with my heart. And I've always had it.
Skippity bop. What a light way to talk about a heart palpitation.
Yeah. So I've had it since high school, and I'm like, okay, not too concerned about it. Did get it checked out. They didn't really find anything, so I'm like, okay, whatever. But every once in a while, my heart will do a little stutter thing, and it feels like my lungs will shrivel for a second, and then I'll be on my good merry way. But it's been happening. My voice did the squeaky thing. Sorry. It's been happening more and more recently, and it's kind of freaking me out, but I refuse to go to the doctor because I don't like to do that. But anyway, I thought I was having a heart attack because the pain was not in my stomach or anything. It was up underneath my ribs and in the middle of my back between my shoulder blades. And I was like, I am in the process of dying right now. And I was curled up in a ball, and I was like, holy crap, what is happening? It felt like someone was ripping my diaphragm to shreds and then playing the strands like a guitar. It was awful. But I just kind of curled up, waited for it, to do its thing, and I was just like, yep, I'm dying. I was I wonder who's gonna come through my house and pick apart all my stuff and pack all this stuff up when I'm dead. Cause yeah, I was really planning. I was like, who's gonna find all my stuff? Anyway.
You were just gonna die there?
I was just gonna die, and I was just, yeah. Anyway, so that's my hypochondriac part of myself. I'm like, oh yeah, any sort of pain, and I'm dying. But this was pushing up to 8.7, getting close to a 9 level kind of pain. But yeah, I just kind of had to ride it out a little bit, and then finally kind of dazed out a little bit. And I probably fell asleep after the pain had started to dwindle, probably around 5 o'clock in the morning. And this is how I know life is not real. We are living in a simulation because of this right here. So like I said, I fall asleep around 5 o'clock. I wake up around 8. My phone is buzzing. What the heck? So I fumble around. I find my phone. I look just in time to see that it's my dad. My dad rarely calls me. So I'm like, what the heck? But I missed it. So I had to call him back. I call him back, and instead of him answering, I hear this hissing sound. I'm like, what the heck? Did he drop his phone or something? What is going on? And I hear it again, this weird hissing sound. And it dawns on me, he's actually hissing at me. I'm like, what the heck? What? So reasonably so, I hiss back at him.
Naturally.
And he just laughs, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what in the world? And he's like, yeah, I heard this cat hissing, and it reminded me of when you did that as a kid. I'm like, what? Okay. What the heck? And he's like, yeah, good night. And hangs up on me. He hangs up on me.
Wait, at 8 in the morning?
At 8 in the morning, he says, good night. And he hangs up on me. what is my life? What did I just wake up to? And again, I only slept for a couple hours at that point after being in turmoil the night before, so I was exhausted from that. And I was like, life is not real. I'm still not fully convinced I wasn't in like a lucid dream or something, because he was hissing at me. So that was my night, my Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, and then the rest of Wednesday, thank God it just happened to work out that I had nothing going on. I did not get out of bed until like 4 p.m. and then I did just long enough to eat a little bit of something, read a little bit, and then I went back to bed at 8. I was like, I need to be done. And then today I did have work, but I texted the woman. I was like, I'm not well. We're not doing this today. So she hasn't answered me back. We'll have to figure that out later. But yeah. So I just thought I'd divulge that because right after this, I think I'm probably going to go back to bed again because that was a lot. Have you ever hit like level 10 pain?
Yeah, I'm sure I have. A lot of times, like, when I'm on my period and I, like, wake up in the middle of the night with, like, terrible cramps. It's so painful.
Mm-hmm. That's, my senior year of high school. A friend of mine called me up. It was probably around 9 or 10 or something. She calls me and she's like, hey, I just got off of work, but I'm not feeling well. I'm trying to get home. She lived a little further out. She's like, I'm trying to get home, but I have to pull over, like, every 2 minutes to throw up. I can't get home. Can I come to yours? I'm like, yeah, of course. We had a spare bed in between me and my brother's room. There was like we called it the middle room, but there was an extra bed there. I was like, yeah, you can stay there. So she comes over, but instead of going to the middle room and the spare bed, she comes into my room. I'm like, what are you doing? Get out. I was like, you're sick. Get out of my room. She was only in my room for like less than a minute, so I didn't really think about it, but it was enough and I got sick.
No.
Yeah, I woke up like the day or something after and I was like, I'm nauseous. This is not happening right now. It's my imagination. We're fine. We're fine. We're not fine. We're not fine. I run and yeah, I get the stomach flu. But the problem was the stomach flu hit me at the exact same time my period started. And I think one exacerbated the other. And the cramp pain was so bad that I, in all seriousness, begged my mother to kill me. I begged for death in that kind of moment. It was awful. I'm like pouring sweat enough that I'm like sliding off the toilet as I'm having all my issues all at once. And I just remember screaming and begging my mom to kill me. It hurt so stinking bad. And then she was rude and she didn't do it. And I had to suffer.
Well, she begged me to. What was I supposed to do?
Yeah, she just left me. She couldn't do anything, so my mom just went back downstairs and left me in my agony.
Oh my god.
Yep, that was my great and mighty 10.
That used to happen
awful.
to me, like, in high school. Like, every few months I would just have, like, the worst... I don't even know... Because it wouldn't last the whole time. I would just, like, have one morning of, like, I'm bent over and I'm, like, wailing and I... Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? And it was so strange. Like, I don't know. I just remember this one time my mom was, like, out for a walk in the morning, and I, like, called her. I was like, you need to get here. I don't know what to do. And I, like, got in the bathtub and just, like, threw up, and, like, it was so weird.
Yep. You just throw up.
And then it's just, everything, like, over.
Yeah. You throw up everything, including your will to live. and then it's all over, and then you're like, okay, that was a lot. I was being dramatic, though. But it's like, in that moment, though, it's just like, it feels like death. It's awful. And I know in high school, there was one girl that always took the first day of her period off because it was so bad for her. And that's why I love the videos nowadays of, like, the period cramp simulators to show it's not normal. This type of pain is just not normal.
Right.
It's not okay. And so
I saw something on TikTok that was like, if your hormones are like perfectly in balance, then you won't have like any period symptoms.
But whose are perfectly balanced?
Nobody's, because we live in America.
Yeah. I just saw a TikTok of this British person talking about living in America and how what you see on TV and what other countries think of America, it's not actually accurate. The way people are and the way we live our lives is not what actually is in the rest of the world, how they see us. And the one thing is, like, Americans are all fat and lazy and everything. It's just like, we don't want our food like this. Like, are these processed, these chemicals, this garbage that we can't find affordable food without all this processed, disgusting garbage. We don't want it, but we don't have a choice because this is what they're producing just to make money. And it's not okay, and it's not healthy for us, but we don't want it.
And we don't have time to, like, grow or prepare our own food because we're, like, working all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, we're working 60, 70-hour weeks just to get by. Yeah. And then, you know, it's, you know, the fast food. That's actually what it did. I gave myself food poisoning. Because after we left Barnes & Noble, I had to run to work. I didn't have time to go home like I had planned to. So, of course, right on the way to work, right down the street from my office, is a Burger King. And I grabbed something real quick, and then my client was there early, though. So I get to my office, and he's already there, so I'm like, crap! So I have to, like, toss everything down, and I get everything ready, I do the appointment. And I didn't even think about it, because I was in appointment mode at that point. And then I go back, and I start eating my lunch, like, an hour later, but I didn't put it in the fridge, and I think I gave myself food poisoning. Just
Maybe.
like a mild case of it, just enough to feel like death for an hour or two.
That's so scary, though.
Yeah. I was seriously contemplating. I was like, if this gets any worse, do I actually need to call somebody? Because I genuinely thought I was dying for a sec. It really, truly felt like a heart attack or something. Because it did. It was tucked right up underneath my ribs. Oh my God, it was awful. But yeah, so that was fun. But
that's so scary.
Yeah. So you've always had, like, from the beginning of your period, not to get, like, super personal or anything.
I don't care. Like bad cramps, you mean?
Yeah. Or has it, like, shifted over the years to affect you differently?
When I first did, I don't remember having cramps. And then I probably started to when I was, like, 14. And, like, I usually have them. Like, I usually bloat really badly, and that is so painful.
Mm.
Like, I will, like, go to sleep, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night, and I haven't taken ibuprofen or anything, and my stomach is just, like, pregnancy-sized, and it is just burning. But I can usually take an ibuprofen, or, like, a couple ibuprofen, and I'm, like, fine. I can't have dairy when I'm on my period.
Interesting.
At all. Because that, I think, dairy doesn't agree with me as it is, so, like, in combination, I will never do that again.
Lesson has been learned.
I think that's what caused, like, the times that it's been really bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It does suck, but I've been very lucky. It hasn't, I don't think I've ever had to take off school or anything.
Well, I was just thinking, you said you don't drink dairy during your period, but you don't drink dairy in the most important moment of everything, which is when you're eating Oreos.
I have to tell you something. Okay,
I'm doing it.
Transition. Okay, wait, we're gonna just skip right over that. Okay, yeah,
No, we're not.
I dip my Oreos in water, skipping over that. Okay. Next. So I had orientation yesterday, right?
Yes.
So we got paired with students who were like orientation assistants or whatever that were gonna, like, I don't know. So I got paired with this student, and he eats cereal with water.
He's one of those psychopaths.
And he was like, do you guys do anything like that? And I didn't say anything because I wanted to make friends.
You could have bonded with the psychopath.
No, I didn't want to make friends with him, though. I want to make friends with everybody else. So I didn't say anything.
That is so messed up.
Yeah, that's gross. And he drinks the water afterwards.
Don't you? The silence is deafening.
Yeah, usually.
Dude, I will never get over that. The whole point of an Oreo is the milk and
I don't like milk.
I have a psychopath in my house right now.
Do you want to know why I don't like milk? Did I tell you the story?
Why you don't like milk?
Yeah.
I don't know if we got around to that.
There's literally just one moment that burns in my memory of, like, a situation with milk, and so I haven't had it since.
Okay.
I think I was in second grade. Maybe younger, actually. Now that I'm thinking about what the classroom looked like. But it was someone's birthday, so we were having cookies and milk. And, you know, like, there was, like, the one kid in your class who was, like, slobbery.
Yes.
And, like, disgusting.
Yeah.
I just remember he, like, took a sip of milk, and there was just, like, a string of, like, saliva that was, like, coated in milk, like, to the glass when he put it down. And I haven't, like, had it since then.
That's understandable. Oh my god.
I think I was already iffy about it at that point, but I think that solidified it.
You know what that reminds me of?
Because I was drinking milk when that happened.
Yeah, no, that's disgusting. But it reminds me of, I will never forget, it was 8th grade math class. I was on one end of the room, thank God, and this other kid was on the clear other side of the room. But I saw it. Oh God.
Oh no.
He... Sorry. Oh my God. He sneezed.
Oh no! Don't do this to me.
And it like...
Ew.
It stuck... It was like full-blown strings, like, from his nose to the desk. It was like he connected himself to his own desk. I was like, oh my God. Thank God I was on the opposite side of the room because I would have thrown up. Oh my God.
That's so gross. Oh my God.
Oh.
I hate...
Oh, shoot.
I hate that.
Ugh.
I hate that a
And
lot.
that's, I can't stand, one of the worst things ever is when somebody sneezes near you and then you can, I'm gonna throw up, you can smell it.
Oh, what?
That's never happened to you? Oh my God, you're
No.
so lucky because it is the most disgusting thing in the entire world. I've been near people that sneeze and they don't cover their mouth, like, close enough, and it, like, you can smell their spit, and it's like you're sucking up their spit particles, and I just want to die in that moment. I'm like, please put me out of my misery.
That sucks.
Oh, it's awful. It's so disgusting. And so that's why I hold in my sneezes. I'll pop a blood vessel before I let a sneeze out in people's company.
My
Not
sneezes
happening.
are pretty minimal. I keep them tight in. Like, when I sneeze, I, like, keep it
Yeah.
small.
My dad is the he, like,
Such a dad
exaggerates
thing.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
full on.
gross.
And then when he burps, he'll ribbit through it. Yeah. Yeah. He'll ribbit.
What does that mean?
He'll burp and say ribbit at the same time.
That's funny. I have to start doing that.
So, yep, that's disgusting. We need to move on because that's really gross.
No, you want to hear another gross one?
Sure.
So, there's this girl that I work with. So I'm a cashier, but she's, like, the full-time cashier. She's gross.
Just period.
Like, everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Like, she's, like, up there, like, farting and coughing
Ew.
and sneezing and leaving her nose ring at the register and, like...
Oh my God.
So I know that I was stupid for doing this, but obviously, like, I couldn't have predicted this. So, she had been, like, I don't know what the word is, like, loogies or whatever, like,
Hawking
like,
loogies? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She'd been spitting in the trash can a lot, and, I knew that. And so I shouldn't have done this.
Oh my God.
But I couldn't have predicted this happening. So, we just have, like, a small trash can behind the register, and someone had put, like, a big piece of styrofoam, like, on top of it to be thrown away. And so I was gonna, like, give it to one of my coworkers to, like, play with or whatever. Because I work with 15-year-old boys. I was like, oh, styrofoam, they'll love it, right? So I, like, went to grab the styrofoam,
No.
and there was, like...
No.
loogie on it, and I, like, touched it, and I started gagging,
Oh my God.
because I knew immediately, like, what happened, and so I just walked directly to the bathroom, and I was, like, gagging the whole way there, and thank God nobody, like, made eye contact with me, because I think I would have thrown up.
That's the kind of thing, it's like, I understand why they say everybody is capable of murder. In that moment, yeah, it's on like Donkey Kong. Oh, that's so disgusting.
Yeah, it was really gross.
Oh my God. Not okay.
No.
But I just don't think people have enough self-awareness.
Well, she's been told, told to not do that anymore.
So
But I think
she's
she still
purposely
does it.
obtuse. Oh my god.
Yeah. She threw up at work a couple weeks ago and she, stayed the rest of the day.
Ew.
And I work at the same computer that she does.
Yeah. I'd be
Her
choking on
hairbrush,
Lysol.
her hairbrush, she leaves her hairbrush, under the register, she makes herself comfy. Takes her shoes off.
Ew. How has she not been fired?
I don't think anybody wants to be a full-time cashier at Ace Hardware.
I feel like this violates codes. OSHA needs warned or something. This is a whole world of OSHA violations.
Probably.
Oh my god. That's not okay. People need more self-awareness, for sure. I'm entirely too self-aware, but there's a happy balance that you can find. You know what? Oh my god, you know what it reminds me of? My job at the bookstore. I loved that job, but I went through several different managers and assistant managers and all that nonsense. They, for some reason, couldn't keep a hold of people. But my assistant manager, he was only a year or two older than me, and so we kind of goofed around, we're more friends than boss and employee kind of thing, or so I thought. And we were goofing around one day, and our kind of thing was we would jokingly flip each other off. And of course we were doing it where no one could see. It was fine, no big deal. But there was this one time that me, my manager, this guy, the assistant manager, and then another employee were all behind the counter at one time. And there was one customer there, and so my other coworker was taking care of the customer. And then me, my assistant manager were back a little bit further, kind of in a triangle, and we were talking. And we were goofing around, whatever. And I jokingly, like I do pretty much every day, I did it down low so nobody could see it, but I jokingly quickly flipped him off. And he went on a power trip or something in that moment. And he, in front of everyone, loudly, so even the customer could hear, he was like, "You need to respect the fact that I'm your boss. You can't be doing that kind of thing." And he went off on me. And my manager was standing right there. And she was like, "What just happened?" Like, I don't know. And I was just like, "I'll just tell you later." Because I was like, I just looked him dead in the eye and I just stared him down for a second. And I told my manager, "I'll tell you later." And after that, anytime he would try to joke around with me, because literally the next day he was doing this, he was flipping me off and the exact same, I just looked at him and I was like, "We're not doing that. You're not going to go on a power trip. You're not going to discipline me in front of other people inappropriately, because if you want to discipline your employees, you do it in the privacy of the back room in the office or whatever. You don't do that immediately, in front of customers like that." He went on an epic power trip and I was like, not happening. Every ounce of respect I ever had for you is out the window. We were joking around. We do it every day. And you're not going to be a hypocrite and turn around and start joking around with me the next day. Not happening. So after that moment, I was like, I'm done. We're not. Nope. It's like, people need to chill. You need to find your place, figure it out, and stay in your lane kind of thing. I'm like, I don't know. It's hypocrisy. I cannot stand. So, but yeah. Did you have... I'm still trying to remember that you're a baby. You're just recently out of high school.
I'm 3 years out of high school. It feels like a lot longer, though.
Yeah. Did you work in high school?
Yeah, I worked at a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah? Yeah. You say, you laugh like you have stories. Do you have stories?
I loved it. I was just a dishwasher. I was a hostess at first, but I was, such an introvert. They, put me on dishes one day, 'cause whoever was... They didn't come in, and I just loved it. And so I did it for, 2 years. Mm-hmm. But I never listened to music. I never put earbuds in. I was, such, a little, goody two-shoes. I could have, listened to music the whole time. I didn't. Or, a podcast or something.
Yeah.
I just had to listen to the Mexican radio.
Oh, what a travesty. You say that like it's awful, but
well, they were always playing the same stuff, especially around Christmas.
Like Mexican Christmas music? Mm-hmm. Feliz Navidad. Yeah, that was not right at all. I didn't hit a single note. No, I didn't hit a single note of what that actual song is.
But, no, I really liked working there. It was just chill.
That's good. I stole my water pitcher that I have. I stole that from a Mexican restaurant. For legal purposes, that's a joke.
It's not stealing if they didn't tell you not to.
If they don't say you can't.
They didn't say it wasn't for you. They put it on the table like they put your food on the table, and you're supposed to eat your food, so...
Logic.
Think about it.
No.
It's okay, I've done that before. I have, like, a little dish I took from Texas Roadhouse. Well, they gave me, like, a to-go box, but I had, like, a little cup of chili, and I was like... So
They
I just
didn't
put the whole
give you
cup in there.
Yeah, there you go.
I think I put the spoon in there.
Gotta have the set.
Oh, I steal forks. Like, I've been collecting them.
I feel like I knew that. Did you tell me that before?
Maybe.
I love that.
I love it too.
Alright. Was that the only job you had in high school?
Yeah. I started it when I was like 17, I think. Well, I lived far away from my school, so I was getting home at like 5 or 6 as it was. So it was hard to... And I was lazy and an introvert. But then when I was 17, I started it.
I did not have good luck with my jobs in high school. My very first job, I was just kind of the errand boy of a florist. I worked at a florist that my pastor and his wife owned. And I just ran around, did errands, cleaned the place up, did whatever they needed me to do, and worked that for like a year plus or something. And then the management switched over. They like sold the shop to somebody new. And I knew the person. She was like the finance manager while I was working there. And I went to her. I was like, when you take over, do I still have a job? Like, can I still work here? She's like, yeah, absolutely. No worries. But when she took over, she just never scheduled me again. I didn't quit and she didn't fire me. She just never scheduled me again. So I was like, okay, well, I saw her months later. I was working at, I kind of like volunteered to do the voting polls. And she saw me there and she's like, oh, I still have your last check for you. And I'm like, bitch, I never quit. Like, I want more. Like, I want more checks. What do you mean?
Right.
But yeah, so that job just ended weirdly. And then I got my second job at Hallmark. The Hallmark store, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I worked there, and I remember exactly where I was. I was working tech crew for the middle school play. I was in high school working middle school play tech crew, and the show was just about to start. Like, the lights had just gone down, and the music was starting to play. I got a call, and I'd been waiting for the call from this place. And I remember being backstage, and I'm like, hello? And they're like, hi, Danielle, we wanted to offer you the job. I'm like, great, thanks. Can I call you back later? I'm like whispering backstage. So I got the job there, but they were also in transitionary period. And so the manager that hired me was like an assistant manager that had to step up because the other manager left. I don't know. It was weird. And then the new manager that came, when she finally came, she was terrifying. Or I should say I was terrified of her. And inappropriately, as we were leaving one day, she told me how, like, she had to leave her husband because he was cheating on her, or so she thought, because as soon as they split up, like 3 months later, he was already with another person and she was already pregnant. Turns out that person was my high school teacher at the time. He was my history teacher. And I'm like, I didn't need to know this personal information about my history teacher. This seems weird. So I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to talk to you again. And she was just, nothing I did was right. She actually at one point told me that, I needed to lie. Like, I was in tennis and things were running over, and I called her. I was like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it to my thing. I'll find a replacement, blah, blah, blah. Everything was fine. The next day she called me and she's like, had you called in sick or something, it would have been fine, but you can't do that for time. I'm like, are you telling me I should have lied? I'm like, I had plenty of notice. I got someone to cover my shift. There was no issue. And you're telling me I should have lied. I don't agree with the way you're running things. And I left. Then I went to DeFelice Brothers Pizza, and the 7 months that I was there, I went through 3 managers. They all sucked. And then I was also a busser at another restaurant, but I hated that job. I almost killed my pastor. He was eating there, and I dropped a bunch of plates, and it just crashed and burned. And he said, yeah, I almost gave him a heart attack. So I was like, okay, we're going to not do this anymore, because apparently I suck at it. And then I had one other job. Oh, yeah, and then I had the bookstore job. And even there, I went through several managers, and I worked there for just over 2 years, and I was like the senior employee there. because they couldn't keep anybody. And they were going to be training me as a manager. I'm like, what is happening? Why does everywhere I go is just chaos? And I'm pretty sure it was just the Ohio Valley.
That's Ohio
just
shit. The whole thing was Ohio shit. No, I'm having the same thing at Ace. Like, I'm, like, a senior, but, like, I've only been there for 2 years.
Yeah, just, like, the rotation.
Yep. Heavy rotation.
So what else about, like, and we were talking about, like, how would you, like, describe yourself from then till now? High school till
Oh, God. Like, how would I describe my high school self, like, in comparison to myself now?
Yeah, like, have you matured at all?
Oh, yeah!
Or have you digressed?
Well, I'm the same in a lot of ways, but I think...
Well, again, because high school was only 3 years ago for you.
Okay, enough! It really wasn't. It really doesn't feel like it was.
If I'm old, you're young.
Okay. You're not old. I've never said that you're old. You're just older than me.
I'm old. Considering I haven't wanted to move for the past 2 days, and like, oh my god, I couldn't sleep last night because my arthritis in my hands was flared up so bad. It was so painful.
You're so old.
I'm so old. It hurt, man. It hurt so bad.
Your arthritis.
I was like, it made me squirm all night. It made it so
terrible.
hard.
Oh my
It was
God.
awful. Anyway, continue.
Well, I know for a fact that, like, I was definitely, trying to adhere to, like, the male gaze or whatever in high school. And I definitely am not doing that anymore. Like, I don't know why, like, I wanted so much male attention, but I did. And so I would, like, act stupid on purpose and would, like, make my voice higher, and I was always trying to, like, be skinny and, like, have long hair and the makeup and everything, and I don't care anymore. I'm just, like, I'm at a point where it's, like, if you don't like my genuine self, then why would I want to be friends with you?
Yeah.
Or be around you for that. I don't know if I, like, care less about what people think, but I think I definitely, like, am trying to put out a different, like, self-message, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in high school, I just, like, wanted attention for, like, being, like, attractive. But now I want attention for, like, being smart or, like, successful or creative, stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. And I honestly think, like, the first impression of you, I think you've accomplished what you were seeking out to do. Because you just, like, seem... When I started school with you, you just seemed, like, real chill, real laid back, but then just... You were who you were. And there you go. And now that I've seen some of your art, and I'm like, heck yeah, that absolutely. And I just saw one of the questions I was flipping through, and that was like, what was the first impression of you? And it was like, or how would you describe you to someone, like, to a stranger? Like, how would I describe you to a stranger? And it would just be like, she's super chill, she's laid back, she's there. And then you're quiet though. And so I know that people are just like, have a hard time reading you. And I'm like, no, she is what she is. Like, if you have a hard time reading her, it's just because you're not reading her at all. Because
so
it's
sweet. Oh my God.
You are who you are. And I love that. So, kudos to you
That
for...
was so nice. Thank you so much. Oh, that was so nice. Yeah, because I feel like, well, my mom was saying yesterday how, like, my mom and I are so different. She's very social. She's very outgoing and everything. And, like, even when I was a baby, like, I was, like, antisocial and, like, I don't know, grumpy. And she was like, I was always trying to change you, but, like, you just, like, are yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and...
She's trying to change you?
Yes! She was. She would, like, we would, like, butt heads, like, even as, like, a baby, because she wanted me to be, like, the center of attention, and I just, like, wasn't.
Yeah. No, my mom kind of, not tried to change me, but she kind of had to accept the fact that I was not a cuddly, lovey baby. Mm-hmm. And anytime you would, like, if someone was trying to hold me, I'd squirm it. It's just like, no, put me in front of the TV and I'm good. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
Yep. Gotta have my space, right? This
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Shut up.
How would you describe your high school self versus now?
Oh my god. The difference, I would think, is staggering. Just, I'm annoyed with myself in high school. Because kind of the same thing. I remember, I've talked about it before, how I was when I was living with my parents. With, like, the higher energy, just the constant tension, the just on edge all the time. I always had, like, my energy was, like, running high all the time. So I was very chaotic. I was very just annoying and buzzing and obnoxious. I think if, like, anyone in high school, because I was also a loser in high school. A loser. I had a grand total of 2 friends throughout the entirety of, like, middle school and high school. And I played tennis, which was, like, not the cool kid sport. I was in show choir, which was just not cool. Just everything I did went against me. I was not popular by any means. I wasn't always in the know with fashion. I literally wore jeans and t-shirts every day, so I was not in the fashion realm of things. I always was one step behind on, like, the trends. Anytime there was, like, the fashion trends, the bags, the certain hairstyles, I was always just right behind it because I was not paying attention to it. So by the time I cued into, like, oh, this is the thing, I would start doing it, but then they'd already move on to the next thing. I'm like, I'm always one step behind. And so I just kind of, like, stopped caring or trying to, and I was a loser. But I was also antisocial while being the class clown in certain classes. If I had my friends with me, it made me comfortable, and I would just kind of let loose, and I was obnoxious, I was giggly, I was loud, you know, because again, in my family, the only way to have your presence known in any capacity was to be the loudest person there. So I was automatically very loud. And so I think if you went back and asked, like, anybody who wasn't my direct friends, anybody in high school would say, oh yeah, Danielle, she's the obnoxious girl. Just that, I was obnoxious. But nowadays, like, now that I've had time away from my crazy, chaotic family, I've settled more into who I am, which is much more chill and actually much more quiet. I'm 180 degree difference from what I was in high school. Because I'm like, if I walk into a room, even with my friends, I am not trying to be the center of attention. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to let people do their thing. I'll chime in when it's necessary, but other than that, I'm going to sit back and let people do their thing. So, big difference from high school. And I'm not sad about it.
You're so chill.
Am I?
You're so, like, well-rounded. Like, I don't know another word to describe it. Like, you're just, like, a perfect balance of, like, everything.
I am a fantastic actor, then.
No. You just are.
Well, again, I'm problematically self-aware at the same time, too. So, I feel like probably what I was in high school, I am now so self-aware of it that I'm like, whoa, dial it back, because I don't like that.
Right.
So, I don't know. My biggest thing, though, is when I look around the world around me and I see how people treat other people, I cannot wrap my head around how people can be rude and so self-absorbed to the point where they're just, like, stepping on. I'm like, I don't understand it. And, like, the simplest thing is taking your shopping cart back to its proper place. Like, how unbelievably self-absorbed and lazy and selfish do you have to be to just leave it hanging out in the parking lot? It rolls into someone else's car and you don't care. And it's not that hard to do what you're supposed to do. And then when someone confronts you, even nicely, they're just like, hey, can you put that back? Then you're going to get all defensive about it. I've seen entirely too many videos of people getting defensive about it.
Have you seen cart narcs?
No.
It's like this guy who will go up to people who left their cart in, like, a stupid place, and he'll be like, he's very, like, what's the word? Not aggressive, but, like, he's like, hey, I saw you put your cart in the wrong place. You want to go put that back? And they're like, no. And he has, like, bumper magnets, and he'll throw them on their car. And instead of just, like, either putting their cart away or just driving away, they'll get out and, like, start an altercation. But he stays very, like, I guess, like, bubbly, and he's like, hey, man, you're just being a lazy bones. I'm just trying to, like, help you out here, man. And, like, people are like, I'm gonna call the police on you, and he's just, like, he's so funny, but he's so, like, good at pushing buttons, and it is so funny.
Well, that's what I don't understand. It's like, how are people spending more of their time and energy
being mean than just, like...
being confrontational than just doing what you're supposed to do in the first place?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I can't... When people are real short with, like, you know, people in Starbucks. And if you walk up to a counter, you say, hi, how are you? Or, like, it's so simple. And people are just like, can I get that, blah, blah. I'm like, attitude.
Yeah.
Check the attitude, folks. And I cannot wrap my head around how people can treat other people like that. I
think people just forget that there are other people. Like, I don't know. I feel like when you're, like, working, that people think that you're not a person when you're working, I guess. I can't. I hate seeing it, like, at work, like, especially with, like, these younger kids who are, like, you know, not getting paid nearly enough, working so many hours, and people are mean to them, and it's like, they're just, A, doing their job, B, not getting paid enough to care, and C, they're kids!
Yeah.
Like... Oh my god, it's unnecessary.
It's like, check back into reality and, like, recognize what the situation is. Well, I'll never forget, it still bothers me. Was it when we went to Philadelphia? I think it was Philadelphia. Me and Kendra were walking down the street, we're going to get dinner, and we were walking in front of some of these storefronts, and there was a homeless gentleman sitting on, like, a bucket on the side of the street in front of one of these, like, restaurants or something, and there was a person standing, like, really close in front of him, like, with their back turned to him, and the gentleman, he obviously had mental health problems, but he was sitting on the bucket, he was rocking back and forth, and he kept saying, you're standing too close to me, you're standing too close to me, you're standing in front of me, you're standing too close to me, and the person just completely ignored him. I'm like, he is right there, he is not being get out of his way. Like, how are you so completely oblivious and self-absorbed that you don't see this man's distress right here? Like, all you have to do is step away from him. And then that's the kind of thing that I cannot wrap my head around. It's just like, how are you so oblivious to the world around you? You're so self-absorbed that you can't even take a minute to recognize that another person is right there. I don't know. It grinds my gears. I don't know. But, no, that's definitely been one of the things from high school till now, is just being more self-aware and, like, kind of check your place in the world. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. How would you describe me to a stranger, though?
Well-rounded, put together, hilarious, very smart. Like, very smart.
Okay, let's move on, because now I don't know how to take a compliment. Now I'm getting all flustered.
Beautiful. So talented. A friggin' jack of all trades. Like, just a wealth of book knowledge.
I will say, I do have a lot of just, like, random stupid facts that just a well of that, yeah. But
so caring. Like, you just went on that whole tangent about people, like, being oblivious and people being rude for no reason. You are so aware of others and so caring and so, like, that whole thing of, like, you're aware that everyone else has their own, like, life, you know. You totally honor that fact, like, more than anybody I know.
Okay, so moving on. I mean, thanks, but, okay. Well, now I don't want to ask that either. Do you think I intimidate others? Why or why not? But,
I think maybe a little bit, because you seem, well, you are, like, so put together.
I was gonna say, I think I do intimidate other people just because I don't mean to be, but, like, I do actually have a very hard time taking social cues, and that comes off as obliviousness, because when I was working at the bookstore, I was talking to this one guy, and he was asking for recommendations, and I love books, and so I'm like, okay, let's do that, blah, 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 and I'm taking around, and, like, we're having a good time, we're joking around it with different stuff. He finally leaves, and my coworkers were all like, you were flirting with him, and I was like, no, I was literally just being nice. That's part of my job. Like, what do you mean? And he was like, no, they were like, he was flirting with you. You were flirting back. And I'm like, oops, that's not what I meant to do at all. And I just don't recognize and I don't recognize when people are flirting with me at all.
Well, I think people, like, I do the same thing. I confuse people being nice with being flirting, or, like, the other way around. Like, people are flirting, and I think they're just being nice to me.
And it's so frustrating, though, because, like, between the ADHD, the social anxiety, the depression, and some autistic tendencies and kind of stuff, I don't like socializing, but at the same time, if I'm comfortable, everyone's my best friend. I've always known you. You're my best friend. I'll pour my heart out to you. You pour out your heart out to me. And I'm like, let's go. But if I'm not in that right mindset, then I tend to, like, shut down a little bit. And I think that comes across as, like, standoffish. And I don't mean to be. I'm just, like, in my own head for a minute. And then also because I'm like, I don't care what people think about me on the majority of the basis. I'm like, so I do. I think I come off as, like, because I'm a little bit more sure of myself, I think. I'm like, I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and I'm not going to stray from that to make other people comfortable if it makes me uncomfortable. So,
yes,
I think that's what comes across
people
as
can
intimidating.
definitely be intimidated by that.
Yeah.
And you're just, like, a badass. And I think that's really intimidating. Like, I'm trying to think of when I first met you, like, what did I think? But I don't remember. I remember being, like, so overwhelmed because everybody was new and you guys, like, all knew each other.
I don't know. Wait, what?
Remember when I, like, joined your class, like, with Jenny, and I wasn't supposed to?
Oh, yeah. See, I was kind of intimidated of you because you already seemed to, like, have, like, a really solid foundation of sign language.
I did.
And so I was like, she's gonna judge me because I suck. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, I'd already taken that class, Danielle. You can't, like...
I know, and it was, like, so scary.
No!
It was so scary because I'm like, oh my god, I'm not up to par yet. But, I know Tori has told me, sorry, I'm throwing Tori under the bus here, but she told me she hasn't been able to figure out, because you're more on the quiet side, like, you're kind of like me. You say what you want to say. You're not a chatterbox, and, like, she doesn't know how to read you sometimes, and I'm like, I keep telling her, I'm like, nah, Mary Grace is cool.
I love Tori. I feel bad that...
No, don't feel bad. Like, she did this, it was the same thing with Kendra. She didn't know how to read Kendra either, because I think all three of us are just very... We say what we want to say when we need to say it, and other than that, nope. Like, we're not.
Well, we're not gonna, like, BS, and we're not gonna do stupid small talk, and, yeah.
Yeah.
No. We're very, like, straightforward, and, yeah.
And the three of us are not, like, limelight kind of people, like a couple of the other people in our class were. Like, we're not gonna... Which, there's no problem with that. No. I mean, I used to do that, like I said, in high school, but it's just, I'm not like that anymore. I'm not gonna put myself out there when I'm not comfortable to do so. And that's why I think all three of us, me, you, and Kendra, are kind of, like, hard to read.
Well, when you put three people together who don't want to be the center of attention, it's like, yeah.
We just, like, these three drones walking around. Oh my gosh. But, no, honestly, like I said, once you get to know the three of us, I feel like I don't know. I think we've got, like, a solid foundation of, like, I don't know, at least to me, like, you and Kendra are, like, a solid foundation of, like, a good friendship, like, should be. And just, I appreciate the non-drama. I don't do drama.
Me neither.
I
won't do it. I will just not be friends if it happens.
Yeah. I don't like the gossip. Okay, I should clarify that, because there are times when I have had to talk things out with somebody about another person because I'm trying to figure out the situation. I'm trying to figure out their motives, try to kind of figure out my place in another person's life. So obviously talking about the situation and talking about the person and the reactions that are going on in a certain situation, like, that's fine.
That's not gossiping.
That's not gossip.
No.
But when I have no business knowing someone else's business of what's going on that I'm not connected to, I can't stand that. Like, do not divulge someone else's personal business to me. I don't care. I want no part of it. But I know there's so many times that I've been on the receiving end of that, and I've had to shut it down. I'm like, please don't. Not happening. I don't want to know. So, not a fan of the gossip. Where am I going? I'm trying to find these what did we say? Okay. So along the same lines, though, of like how you would describe yourself to strangers, do you think that the image you have of yourself like matches the image people see you as?
No, I don't think so. I think, I feel like terrible. Like you just said, like Tori says she can't get a good read on me, and it's like, I feel like when I'm in a social situation, it's hard for me to be myself because I'm overwhelmed by like physical factors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, like in class, it's hard for me to be myself because the lights, I hate the LED lights in a classroom and they're so bright and they give me a headache, and so I like can't fully be myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like I don't like how my socks feel, so like I'm in a bad mood and so I can't be myself. Like I feel like the version I am when I'm like outside of like a comfort zone, not a comfort zone, but like I'm not in my ideal environment.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of the time is the version of myself that most people see.
So what is yourself?
This.
Just okay.
This is pretty much it. I would say.
Can you put that in words? Because
what I am? I don't know.
Just calm and chill, relax.
Chill. I don't know. I feel like I'm like very non-judgmental of people. I feel like...
What I like, not to cut you off, I'm sorry.
No, please do it, because I wasn't going to say anything else.
My thing is, like, you're very chill, but you're very open at the same time. Like, as long as the door is open, you're going to walk through it. And just like earlier, I was like, well, if it's too personal, you're like, no, I don't care. And like, you're just like ready and willing to do kind of and talk about pretty much anything as long as the door is open to do so. Because me and you both, we're not ones to like kick down a door or anything when it comes to just kind of like hanging out, talking, hanging out as friends kind of thing. So I think it's nice to know that there's not a whole lot of limits. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of limits or boundaries, like hard boundaries that you're not willing to... I don't know how to put it. You're just very open.
You mean like as far as just like conversation?
Yeah.
Or,
like you're kind of down to talk about anything, or so far at least. Like we haven't run into anything that you're not willing to talk about. But yeah. But at the same time, it's just because you're like really calm about it and not spazzy. This is making so much more sense in my head.
I think I get it.
Because, like, a lot of times when you want to talk about something and someone, like me, if you get me on a topic that I'm, like, gung-ho for, mm-hmm. I'll freak out and I'll just run with it and run wild. And I think that's kind of it. You just have to be on, like, the right path to get the wheels turning. Right?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's just, like I said, it makes more sense in my own head.
Okay.
Because, like, I don't know.
Well, like I was saying earlier, like, I feel like I've adopted this idea of, like, if I put my truest whole self out there and the other person doesn't like it, then...
Forget them.
Why would I
That's on them.
Why would I try to be someone else and then try to be friends with someone and then they're not friends with me, they're friends with someone else?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I'm...
So you don't, like, are you saying, like, you don't want to establish a friendship based off of a false you?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. I watched it in this YouTube video a couple years ago. I'll like give it to you so you can link it because it's actually really good. And I forget what exactly she was saying, but she made a point of like, you attract what you're putting out, and if what you're putting out isn't your true self, then you're attracting things that would be not best for your true self.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I didn't word it super well, but
I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to, like, surround people be surrounded by people who are best, like, for me, and if I'm not me around those people, then I'm not gonna find that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I think becoming friends with Kendra caught me so off guard, because, again, I'm kind of just, like, I don't recognize when people are... social cues don't function very well with me a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. And we were in our public speaking class together, and it was the end of the year. We had our toasts. We were practicing toasts. And we had worked together several times, and we worked well together. And I kind of guess I wasn't thinking so much outside of the realm of that class. Like, I really liked Kendra, but I just didn't think that it was like the kind of setting where you can establish something that would translate elsewhere. And because I was like an anxiety-riddled freak, I was like, nobody would ever want to be friends with me. What the heck? And so during her toast, she mentioned me specifically, and she was like, it's been really great knowing, getting to know and become friends with Danielle. And I'm like, I did it. I did something right.
That's so cute.
I was so excited, and I was like, I'm keeping her. She's it. She's done it now. I'm keeping her.
That is so sweet.
But that's the kind of thing. I'm like, I have to, as far as like my friends coming, I have to break down my own like limits, because I'm constantly thinking like, oh, I'm not someone would want to be friends with. I'm a freak and like anxiety-riddled disaster. Like, nobody would want to hang out with me. But then when I find someone that I like, and I'm like, I'm going to keep this person. I'm going to force them to like me. So yeah, you, Tori, and Kendra, you're stuck with me. So
good. I like it.
I'm glad to hear that.
How do you think that people's perception of you matches what you're putting out?
No. My perception of me, like I said, is an anxiety-riddled disaster. And so to hear that you guys think that I'm like, just like got it together, I'm a fantastic actress.
No, stop saying that.
Well, you literally have to text me, which I do appreciate actually very much that you texted me. It was, we're supposed to meet at 10 o'clock and it was 10:01 and you texted me and you're like, I'm not dead, I'm just late.
I'm always late though.
But I really appreciate that, because I'm like that person that I have to be a half hour early so I'm not like a single minute late kind of thing. And so you texting me that like puts me at such ease, because like immediately I'm like, she's late, she's dead, she's on the side of the road, she's dead, oh my god.
No, but I thought I was about to be.
What?
What? You know how they're doing like construction in Manlius or whatever? I like wasn't paying attention. I was paying attention, but I was like, okay, so I have like a Bluetooth thing that I plug into my aux cord.
Okay.
Or my aux input.
Yeah.
And it has to be charged.
Okay.
And it was dying, but my phone that I would normally be recording on, I needed to charge, so my Bluetooth died, so I had no music. And we were talking about last week how awkward that is to be in silence in your own car. So I was trying to find an aux cord in my glove box, and while I was doing that, I like ran over like one of those like raised like manhole covers, because like the road is all stripped. And it's fine. I'm just like a hypochondriac when it comes to my car, and I was like, it feels different now. Am I gonna is it gonna break down? And do I have a flat tire? And I was just like going really fast. I was like, get there. But like, how would I get home now? But I was just like, it feels different. I didn't, but like, was I thinking about how it felt before, or just I can notice how it feels now because I ran over one of them.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in the car, and like I said before, I kind of get that highway hypnosis kind of thing, and I'm driving and I'm not paying attention like specifically, and then I'll go through an intersection and I'm like, did I just run a red light?
I've done that before.
You have?
I've looked up at the last second and it was red.
See, I think every time so far I've been lucky enough that it hasn't. I just think I do. So I'll be like, did I just run a red light? And I'll look behind me to see if other cars are, I'm like, oh, okay, cars are still going through. Like, it must have been green. We're good. But yeah, no, backtracking a little bit. Yeah, that's scary. When you said you hit a manhole cover, I'm like, oh my god, I would have thought, like, did I run over a child? Like, oh my god.
No, I saw it, and I should have gotten in the other lane, but I just, like, went over it.
Yeah, you have to be in, like, the center lanes right now. It's awful. They're taking their good sweet time with getting all that fixed up. The thing is, they just keep stripping more rather than paving it. They're not paving anything. They just keep stripping more and more.
And it's been a couple weeks now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's awful.
Update on the Swan. Did you hear about Papa Swan? Had a little bit of a breakdown, I guess. Yeah. It's so sad.
He attacked his cygnets, and so they shipped him off to Skinny Atlas. maybe. I think it was Skinny Alice. There's a couple other birds out there he's chilling with now. I don't know what they're doing with the babies now. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that, but he attacked them. He's a little bit of a grumpy, grieving mess.
It's so sad.
So, but yeah. So, we'll keep you updated. This is the Swan Watch. This is Swan Watch for you. But, yeah. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
Great stuff.
Teach us something new, Mary Grace.
Ooh, but do I want to teach something new or do I want to tell you about orientation?
I do want to know about orientation.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll do both. Because my fun fact is pretty short. So I was thinking about how I wanted to tell you about orientation, but then I realized that I don't want to talk badly about the school.
Uh-oh.
So it was okay. I'll just tell you my perspective of everything. Or what my head was going through. And I'm going to skip to the last hour of it, I guess. Because
it was like 8 to 5.
It was like 8 to 5:30, but we stayed until only 3 or 4.
Still, that's a long day.
Yes. It was so long. And really unnecessary.
I feel like that should have been like 8 to 5, like an open house more kind of thing, rather than...
No, it was a schedule, and everything had like too much time to each thing.
Mm-hmm.
So... Yeah, so it was scheduled, and so then my mom and I just like sunbathed outside of the buildings because they were really freezing in there for like 20 minutes in between each chunk of things. Well, so I will say, so the guy that has his cereal with water, his name's Eric with a K on the end, and so he was my like orientation assistant or agent or something, and so they like split us up by major. There was like 4 or 5 people in my group, and we had like small group for like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and he was just like, do you guys have any questions? And we were like, not really. And he's like, okay, we're gonna play Hangman. Played 1 round of Hangman, and then sat in silence until it was over.
Oh my god.
Until the small group was over. And then, so, they had some speeches about, you know, being safe on campus and transferring credits. And then they had a time slot for you to meet with your advisor to, like, figure out your schedule. And so mine was supposed to be at 2:45, but because his little speech was so short, it got bumped up. So I thought I had this idea, like, I was going to go into, like his office or a room with him. We could sit down one-on-one. What classes do you like? What kind of schedule do you want? They brought me upstairs to a computer lab with, like, 50 other people doing the same thing. And they had, like, those big fans going, so it was so loud. And I sat next to him, and he was very, like, soft-spoken, monotone. And my schedule was already made, and I requested to take online classes, as many as I can, because I love online classes, and I don't want to go up to campus as often.
What? Hold on. You are just reestablishing the fact that you're a psychopath. Who likes online classes? What? Did you do good in,
Yes.
You suck.
In what?
Linguistics.
Yeah, I got an A.
You suck. That was the one class that I got a B in. That's a lie. I got a B in politics as well. But you suck. Anyway, move on.
So I had requested, like, online a couple weeks before to take online classes if I could and only come up to campus, like, 2 or 3 times a week. So he pulls up my schedule. It was already made by someone else, or it was, like, auto-generated. And I have 5 classes on Tuesday, 4 classes on Thursday, because they do not offer online classes for my major.
None?
None.
Ugh.
And so it was so loud in there, and I was just, like, listening to him, but, like, I couldn't hear, like, I could hear him, but, like, my brain was farting at the end of the day. And I'm looking at this long day of classes, and I wanted to throw up in his lap. Oh my god, I felt so disgusted. Because, like, all day I was like, oh my god, I don't want to go back to school. Like, this is so overwhelming.
But at least it's only like 2 days. Get it all out of the way.
I know. I know I'm being so dramatic, and I know it's an easy major, and I know that's actually, I'm very lucky that I only have to go up there 2 days.
But no, the five in 1 day is a lot.
That's a lot. That's a long day.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go back to school. And I think I'm just worried because I don't know what the workload is going to be like. Maybe all these classes will be super easy. Maybe. I have no clue though, you know?
Yeah.
So
you're taking 5 classes that are twice a week?
One of them is once a week.
Okay.
And it's longer on Tuesdays.
Gotcha. Well,
I'm so excited to go back to school.
yay!
I'm so nervous.
Ooh. Well, hopefully the orientation is not what the rest of school will be like. Not a very good example of what school will be like. Because that sounds rough. I've been irked. Like I told you before, I hate feeling like I'm wasting my time. And so, like, a poorly planned out orientation, like, that's not okay.
You would have hated it.
Oh, dear. I would have been ranting pretty hard. Because I don't like that. But you like art, right? And
I love art.
do you, like, I know you kind of are just, you don't know exactly what you want to do as far as, but you're going into communications with an art minor. Do you have kind of a general idea of, like, what you would like to do? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I just want to have, like, a boring job where I work from home, but I can just, like, do art on the side and, like, be, like, not like a stay-at-home mom, but, like, I like cleaning and cooking and stuff. So I want to be able to, like, keep the house up kind of thing.
Huh.
Is that bad?
It's not bad. It just doesn't translate with the business or the major that you're going into.
Well, I could have an online job with communications.
I'm just wondering, like, what?
Like, an online assistant or, I don't know, a script writer, a critic, a friggin', I don't know.
Huh. You're gonna have to let me know.
Journalism, anything.
I feel like you have the potential to get in with some pretty big names. Yeah, if you network correctly, you could get in with some pretty big names, which we were just talking about this on Tuesday, right? About how networking is so crucial. Mm-hmm. And, like, that's what you have to do. Get your foot in as many doors, shake as many hands as you can, collect as many business cards, get your name out there in any capacity. And that goes for anybody in any job. Network the crap out of it. And that's the best thing that you can do to really kind of get yourself up on the corporate ladder or something. It's just shake hands. But you've got a few years to figure it out, right?
No. Because I won't.
At least you're self-aware. Well, if I ever launch the business that I want to, you could always help me out with that. I have, like, the dream business that I would like to do. Will I ever start it? No, probably not, but it's, we'll have to see. I don't know.
Okay, fun fact.
Okay.
Okay. This I thought was really interesting because I, like, couldn't find barely anything on it except from one source. Okay. So this is about how do I say this?
You were supposed to do research beforehand.
I listened to a woman say it like 40 times over and I forgot how to pronounce it.
Let me see. What?
Elizabethan men's fashion.
Okay.
Okay.
I know where this is headed. Okay.
Do you already know?
Maybe.
Okay. When all of the men were wearing what we would consider to be feminine clothing, specifically tights, it was very covetable to have robust, muscular calves to showcase said tights. So, it was common for guys to pack bags of sand into their tights to make their calves look more muscular, kind of like the equivalent of a push-up bra. So, when men were getting into a conflict, it was common for one guy to take his sword and prick the other guy's calf so that if the other dude was indeed packing some sand in his tights, the sand would come pouring out, the man would be humiliated, and the pricker would be the victor of this social altercation. Isn't that awesome? We should bring that back.
I love it. You know what I love? That is like such a perfect example of how, you know, we always think that these different time periods are of such a different mentality. No, humans are always the same. The mentality is always the same. And I mean, it's even proven with like statues that they have found in like ancient burial sites or whatever of like dick pics and stuff. Like,
oh yeah, like drawing dicks on stuff?
Yeah, humans have always found that funny, apparently. And just like the vanity and pride of certain mentalities have always just existed. Like, humans are human, no matter when or where.
I love it. Have you seen that trend on TikTok where they will like, I forget what the song is, but they use the same song and they'll pretend to be interacting with someone from like a earlier time period and like, I don't know, say it's like a woman like doing her makeup and she's like putting an eyeliner on and it's like
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm putting eyeliner on." And it's like, "Whoa, we still do that." Like, or like taking a mirror selfie with like the friggin' old cameras
with like the obnoxious flash.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that trend.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Just to see the differences and to see how similar people still are is like, and I also love the comparative histories that say, you know, we are closer in time to, or what's the one that I love? Like the pyramids were closer in time. Okay, get it right.
I know what you
Oh
mean.
my God. The building of the pyramids was closer in time to the moon landing than it was to like Cleopatra being
I
pharaoh.
love those things.
I love that. Because it makes it so relative. It makes it just, it kind of puts time into perspective kind of thing.
But also sometimes they kind of haunt me because like Ruby Bridges is like on Instagram.
What?
She's like the first like black girl to go to like an all white school or whatever. Remember Ruby?
Do you mean
Ruby
like?
Bridges?
Do you mean? What do you mean by on Instagram? Like she is on Instagram?
Like she's 70 years old and she has an Instagram account.
Okay, I thought you meant like a post about her. I was like,
that,
yeah, everyone's online. What do you mean?
like that freaks me out. Like that was not long ago enough.
Well, we were in my one history class and we were talking about the civil rights movement and the one picture of this black guy in like a crowd being harassed by a crowd of white people, and in that picture was a professor, like a local professor, and or like a sports coach or someone. He had to say like, oh yeah, I was in that picture, but he said something about that he was just walking by, he was just seeing what the commotion was. But same thing, like these historical photos that we have, these people are still around. And just recently, the woman who accused, it starts with a T. Oh my God, what is his name? Oh my gosh. It starts with a T. But he was like, it was the catalyst basically for the start of the civil rights movement. It was the boy who was accused of whistling at a white woman, and then the brother and the father, someone of this white woman came and beat him to death.
I don't know about this.
Oh, what is his name? I'm so sorry. I can't. It starts with a T, and I'm just blanking. I know it, but but either way, this poor boy was beaten to death after being accused by this white woman of like whistling and harassing her, and they were found not guilty, which was insane. I mean, just proof upon proof that they did this horrific act, and they were found not guilty. And then just recently, she came out and she's like, "Yeah, I made the whole thing up." And because of double jeopardy, they weren't tried for it again because they were found not guilty, so they got away with it. And it's just, I mean, these people are still alive. Like, we have these historical moments, but they're still, like, it's still happening.
Right.
Oh, I hate myself. What is his name? It starts with a T, and I don't know how to, like, search it. Okay, pause. We're gonna take a quick history pause here because I have to, okay, pause. We're gonna have, like, this awkward long silence going on here.
Emmett Till?
Emmett Till, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. How did you find that so fast?
Boy who whistled at woman and was beat to death.
Oh, God. That's putting it direct, I guess, but yes.
Gotta use those keywords.
Yeah. But yeah, he was kind of the catalyst for the start of the civil rights movement. And then his mother had, like, an open casket to show off the brutality of what this poor boy went through. And it sparked the anger, rightfully so, obviously, but I don't know. But yeah, she recently came out and said that she made the whole thing up.
Wow.
And cost this boy his life. So moving on, because that's we kind of spiraled a little bit, but
yeah,
yes.
I love reading those things of, like, the time periods of, like, oh, this is actually closer than...
So what I was going to say, though, when you said the Elizabethan era of, like, dress, I was thinking you were going to say the origins of the dress to the nines, which I recently found out, hopefully it's true, that when somebody says, like, dress to the nines, it means that to make a full head-to-toe suit back in those days, it would take about 9 yards of fabric to make the full three-piece suit. And so you're dressing to the nines, saying that you have the full getup, all 9 yards worth of fabric to make whatever it is you're wearing.
Is that where, like, in the whole 9 yards comes from, too?
What?
Like you say, like, in the whole 9 yards, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of when you'd say it. Like, just, like, when you're just, like, kind of trying to establish that, like, something was very, like, outdone.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Say, like, oh, yeah, she had, you know, this, that, and the whole 9 yards.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Because it's like the complete, you have to have all of it to make this, yeah, to be all showy and fancy, and yes. So that's a fun fact that I find very interesting, the whole 9 yards. I love, like, the saying, like, the finding out the origins of things. And also the, it's more of a linguistic thing, but the origins of okay, how people say okay. It was, I forget was it back in the 20s or bless you. Get it together. Gross. I think it was back in the 20s or 30s or something, where it was kind of almost like a fad for people to say and spell things incorrectly because it drove the older generations crazy, I think. And I could have this wrong. People fact check me. I'll have to fact check myself later. But from what I remember reading was it drove other people crazy. And so the younger kids would purposely do these things just to irritate people. And okay actually originally started as people saying all correct. But they would spell it wrong. Instead of ALLCORRECT, it would be like OLKOREKT or something. Like, it's spelled something weird, not exactly that, but spelled really weird. And so that misspelling of all correct changed to the misspelling of it shortened to okay.
That's so cool.
And so we've kept around okay.
And now we spell it as a whole word. Like okay.
Okay, AY, yeah. I do that all the time. I don't like just doing the okay.
Me neither. I feel weird.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things that you just, like, it was like the nicknames we were talking about, how nicknames will kind of spiral into different things, and from the original to the end, it's like a game of telephone, how drastically it changes. But that's like the linguistic culture of the changes that we make. And that's another example of, I'm just going off now. Another example that I learned in my, and not anthropology. Yes, anthropology. That the origins of the word knight, KNIGHT, did I spell that right?
Yeah.
That didn't align right in my head. Anyway, the origins of that, the word that we associate with knight being like the knight in shining armor on a horse, the sword and all that good stuff, that word actually used to be what they called sires. What we today know as sires, as, like, you know, the little boy, the page boy kind of helps out the knight. That role of, like, a sire, that term used to be knight. But then throughout time, knight kind of got elevated to its status that we associate it with it now. And what used to be the term for knight, when knight was still sire, whatever, I'm not making any sense, and I can hear myself making this not make sense. Anyway, what used to be the term for what we know now is knight has been lost to history. We don't know what that term used to be. And so knight got elevated to what we know now, but what knight used to be got elevated into obscurity.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah. So knight got a promotion, sire came up to be what we used to know it as, and it's just, I don't know, it's just something like that is so fascinating to me. I love language. I love the nuances of language. And that's why, I don't know if plenty of people have probably noticed it, I tend to use like not as well known, I don't want to say obscure words, but I just like how meaningful some words can be. And it was in the Dead Poets Society movie, where he was saying, don't use sad, use morose. Don't use, this word, use this. And it's just because the impact of words, we have these words for a certain reason, and because some words just make such more impact than other words. And I like that. I like the nuances of it. I like how it packs a punch when you can find that right word, that instead of using a bunch of description words, you can find that one perfect, all-encompassing word. I like it. We're gonna move on.
I like it too. It's hard though now that we know sign language, because like you just said, sad versus morose. Like there isn't a sign for morose. You just like intensify the sign for sad. So it's like, it's so interesting. Mm-hmm. But interpreting is so hard in that way. Trying to find like the right level of like intensity for a word. Yeah. No, absolutely. And then there are some phrases in English that don't exist in sign language. And vice versa. Yeah. And so to be able to find that equivalent and keep the dynamic equivalency. There's this guy, sorry, go ahead.
No.
Oh, there's this guy I follow on TikTok, and he speaks so eloquently, and it's because he takes very thoughtful pauses to, like you said, like instead of using really sad or like really sad, so like adding likes and ums and reallys, he will just think about it first. Mm-hmm. And then what he says is so much more powerful, and that is so interesting to me. That reminds me of a really incredible documentary I watched called The Wolf Pack. And it was about these, I think, 5 brothers who their dad was, I think, paranoid schizophrenic. Mm-hmm. And he kept the family locked away in their New York apartment for years and years and years. And so these four or five boys, they were raised on movies and nothing but movies. They never had any other social interactions with outside world. And so they grew up watching these movies and reenacting them and pretending to be these characters. And so when they finally made it outside of their apartment, they walked around the world and they were listening to people talk with all these interjectory words like ums and ands and blah, blah, blah. And they wondered why everyone was so ineloquent, because all they ever had were movies to be, to learn from. And in movies, there are no stutterings, there are no ums, there are no awkward pauses. It's just very eloquent, smooth language. So that's what they learned their language from. And then they get out to the world, it's like, what is happening? Wow. And it was so interesting. That was one documentary I never wanted to end. It was so fascinating just to see how sane, and I don't mean to be harsh or anything, but how they kept their sanity with not having any interaction with the world. But they kept their sanity through these shows and movies and being able to then go out into the world and associate with people because they had the examples already, even though they didn't have the practice of it. Oh, it was so fascinating. It's The Wolf Pack. I don't know where to find it. I found it on Netflix years ago, but it's no longer there. No idea where to find it now. But good stuff. It's good stuff. I want to watch it again. I love that. That was a good one. Could talk about history and anything all the time, but I think this is a good place to wrap it up for this week. And sorry if anybody can hear the rumble of we've got grass cutting going on, so there's tractors outside going, so if it's not very clear, that's why. But okay, we will talk at you next week. Talk at you next week. Bye. That was such a good outro.